All right, so this is an impression of the 143rd Pennsylvania during the Gettysburg campaign and all the various articles that a federal soldier would carry during the war. So as you can see, I'm wearing an 1858 model federal enlistment's frock coat, a pair of sky blue trousers, and also I have the Jefferson issued booties on as well. These are peg soles. In addition to that, I have a federal issue forge cap. This is a Type 2. And then here you also see a slouch hat, which is also very popular of the men of Stone's Brigade during the Gettysburg campaign time frame. Also, I have my accoutrements here. This is a 1861 issue federal cartridge box, a cap box, a 7-ribbon bayonet for the rifle, and it's to the waist belt and cartridge box sling. So here we're going to break down the federal knapsack. One of the things that's very prevalent with the men of the 143rd Pennsylvania during this time frame is that, contrary to carrying a bedroll, many of the men have knapsacks. So we'll break down the double bag knapsack as we here. So it folds open here. Sitting here, you have a gum blanket, which would be used by the soldiers as a sort of a raincoat or poncho. It also would be used to lay on the ground so you wouldn't be getting wet and things like that, in addition to the actual blanket itself. So you open up the top half here. And here we have a federal issue blanket. And this is what a soldier would have worn or used at night to keep warm and whatnot. And then here you go into what's called the blanket part of the knapsack. And this is the part of the knapsack that would carry more of the personal items and whatnot. So here a soldier would have had possibly a civilian shirt, cotton compared to the federal shirt, which would have been a wool flannel, which has been very uncomfortable. The federal shirts would have been either a white color, which had been 30% of the produced shirts during the war, or a federal issue gray shirt, which is about 70% of the contracts are produced. Also here we have two different types of camp hats that might have been seen by soldiers of the Army of the Potomac. This is a one style camp hat, and here is a different type of camp hat. This one here particularly is based off of a Matthew Brady photo of soldiers in winter camp in 1862. Here's some smaller personal items: a Bible, 1859 dated, it's a reproduction, a sewing kit for making repairs. Here we have some letters from home with postage stamps, and also a lot of these are patriotic themed here. This one is Stephen Douglas, and it says the defender of the Union in the Constitution. Because Senator Douglas, even though he was the Democratic candidate for president in 1860, he was still loyal to the Union and supported Abraham Lincoln. Here we just have a Harper's Weekly newspaper. Here we have an extra pair of socks. These particular socks are based off of a U.S. Sanitary Commission style of socks, and they're made in an original machine. And then here we have some just personal items. Here we have some candles that we use tonight for reading and whatnot. And one thing you'll notice is the bayonet, when you put it into the ground, the candle will fit inside the bayonet, which you can use to hold your candles at night. We just have some other hygiene items. Here we have a can. Inside there's some tooth powder, toothbrush, a small bar of soap, pencils, whatnot, in addition to a straight razor and a mirror. In addition, here we just have some patches just for cleaning things like the rifle and whatnot. Also could be used to clean yourself if you had to go to the bathroom or something like that. So this is the federal knapsack and a lot of the different things you can see inside of it. And then just a few more things here. This is probably would have been issued to the 143rd Pennsylvania. It's a smooth side canteen. The Philadelphia Depot model, which is started production in 1858. Also you see a leather sling, which would have been issued along with this canteen. And then you have your federal knapsack. This one is based off of an original that was featured in Echoes of Glory, and it was actually found off the Gettysburg battlefield. And inside you would have your rations. So rations would be issued to soldiers based off of your mess. So you and would be two other soldiers would be issued your food to your mess. You and your messmates would get your food and split it up. And one of the things you hear in hardtack and coffee is the way rations were issued because they were issued in bulk to your company or something like that. and you have to cut them up yourselves. So the company first sergeant would say, "Oh, which man would get these rations?" And turning his back, one of the orderlies would say, "Read off the name of a man." So that way there would be no favoritism by the first sergeant to any different soldiers. And so you usually have, this is just for cooking coffee. This is a tin can. Just a grabber, just so you don't have to burn your hand when you're grabbing it off the fire. Here's a plate. As you can see, it's burned and used from some of the last campaigns that it's seen. Here you have just a poke sack. Inside you have your coffee. And what would happen is your coffee would be actually issued as beans. And so what you'd have to do is you'd have to take it, and usually they would keep it in the poke sack, you'd put it inside of a can, and then take the bayonet, and they would ground it up into a fine ground, so you would have the beans when you're drinking the actual coffee itself. And then also here you would see this is the rice bag. This actually goes inside of the actual haversack itself. And inside of here you usually put some more of your rations, like your salted pork that you might be issued, or possibly like a ham or something like that. And also you'd be issued, in some occasions, rice, which is why it's called the actual rice bag itself. Although there was a set ration that was supposed to be issued to the federal soldier, in a lot of cases you would see variations of that based off of the campaign, where they were, when they were, and what sort of resources that particular regiment or army was receiving at that point in time. Then also in here, we just have a just fork and knife. So this is based off an original. They go together, and you have your knife, you have your fork, and you have your spoon. So it's an easy tool for the soldier. And that basically hides everything that a soldier of the 143rd Pennsylvania would have had during the time from the Gettysburg campaign.